I just spent the last 2 weeks in New York City attending one of the best film festivals in the world, meeting celebrities, and pretty much just having the time of my life. In this video, I want to take you guys through the experience of New York Film Festival and New York Comic Con, going through every movie I watched, every panel I went to, and every celebrity I met. So day one, landed in Newark, checked into my hotel, and that's pretty much it. Alright, so day two, this is when the actual festival started for me. I had 2 movies to watch, both which I was decently excited for. I got to watch Maestro and AGGRO Drift. Just so you guys know, in this video, I'll be giving my short reviews for all the movies that I watched at New York Film Festival, but I'll be dropping reviews closer to the release dates of all the bigger movies, so stay tuned to the channel for that. Alright guys, so I just got back from my first day. It was one hell of a day, I'm not gonna lie. Maestro was great. AGGRO Drift was complete dog shit. But starting off with Maestro, I really enjoyed this movie. I think Bradley Cooper gives an amazing performance. The filmmaking is really great, and I love how they tell this story. It's a great biopic of Leonard Bernstein, and again, it just flows really well. It's not like a 3-hour plus biopic movie, but it gives you just enough to stay interested in the character. And I don't want to talk about it too much else because I will be doing a full review later on. But then we get to AGGRO Drift. I don't know when I'm gonna fully be able to talk about this movie because there isn't a release date for it yet, but this movie is bonkers. There is no reason why this movie should exist. I'm kind of glad it does though, because it's so anti-Hollywood, but at the same time it feels so I don't know why this movie, I don't know why I watched it. It is so bad, but it's also so cool at the same time. Obviously it's fully shot in infrared, everything looks like it's CGI, there's demons humping the air, girls twerking, Travis Scott's in it for like 2 minutes. It's a mafia boss movie with like a big CGI demon. It's wild, but also, if you like movies, I feel like you should watch this. Anyways, day 3 of the festival. This day was so much fun until it wasn't. This had the potential to be one of the best days of the entire festival in terms of the movies that I was watching, but shit went south.
Penny X.
First, I watched Green Border, which I wasn't really expecting to like as much as I did, but I really like this movie. It is a very tough watch, but it is about the humanitarian crisis on the border, and it's a very dark movie. I think it's completely black and white. It's a very rough movie in terms of just telling the story of migrants talking about activists as well as soldiers, and it's just a very heavy movie that I wasn't really expecting because I didn't know much going into it, but I really liked it. And then I watched Foe. This was not a press screening, but I had a ticket reserved for me. Again, I like this movie a lot more than other people did. Again, it's not a great movie by any means. It's this futuristic dystopian movie. Stars some of the best actors working today, Saoirse Ronan and Paul Mescal. But aside from their performances, I feel like a lot of the character work is lackluster. It doesn't really feel like a sci-fi movie outside of the conceptual parts of it. And even then, it does feel a little bit lackluster when you're looking at the actual sets. You can tell, obviously, it's a smaller budget movie and they're doing what they can do to work within their boundaries, but again, you never fully get invested in the sci-fi aspect, and so everything else never really clicks. But after Foe is when destruction struck. Alright guys, I just made it back to my hotel room. All in all, it was a fairly successful day. I watched 2 movies, but I'm still so frustrated that I missed the Hitman screening because there was also a Richard Linklater Q&A after the movie finished. And the reason I'm so frustrated is because I could have just requested a press ticket for this. But instead, I requested it for Foe, which I definitely could have done standby for because the theater was barely filled up. But yeah, there's still a lot of great stuff to be excited about. This is just a very minor setback, but it definitely could have been avoided. Moving on though, day 4, this is a very nice and chill day. I started off by watching Janet Planet, which was a fine movie, pretty boring for me personally. too long. It was just an idea that I wasn't really interested in. I think Janet Planet had an interesting core in the very beginning of the movie when talking about the little girl that they were observing, but at the halfway point of this movie, it becomes about Janet, who's obviously the title character. But when the first half of the movie that's not even about Janet is more interesting than the actual part with the title character, that's when you know your movie's not really in for the good side of the haul. I feel like in terms of the long run for this film, it just got boring, and it went a little bit too out there on the filmmaking side of it, and the movie wasn't really like that in the first half. It just feels like two completely separate movies with two narratives that are only intertwined because it's a mother and a daughter, but never intertwined in a very interesting story way. But after Janet Planet, I didn't really have anything else, went ahead and wrote my article for the movie, and then I started exploring more theaters in New York, which was kind of my side quest for the entire trip. I just wanted to go to a lot of theaters. Whether I've been to them or not, I wanted to go to as many as possible. There weren't many new movies coming out either, so I was mostly rewatching stuff, but I started off my movie exploration at the AMC in Times Square by watching Bottoms for the first time. Guys, I'm not gonna lie, I've never been to a theater with this many stories. This is insane. Even Lincoln Center didn't feel like it had this many stories. This is kind of cool though. There's like 7 to like 10 different concession stands that they have, and half of them they don't even use because it's just way too many. Yeah, I guess I just got unlucky because 19 is the highest theater that they have. Imagine if they used to just make you walk up regular ass stairs. That'd be hell. I ended day 4 fairly early because I knew day 5 was gonna be an absolute struggle bus. I had to wake up so early for my screening for Priscilla. All right guys, it is 6:30 in the morning. I went to sleep really late last night because of the Loki season 2 premiere, but I'm up early here ready for Priscilla, as well as a press conference after with the actors and actresses. After that though, all I have to do is write the articles and I can take a nap, but I am so exhausted right now. But we'll see how the rest of this day plays out. My bus gets here in like 15 minutes, so we gotta go. I have my full review out on the channel for this, so I'm not going to talk too much about it, but long story short, this movie is really great in my opinion. One of my favorite movies that I watched from the festival. I love Kaylee Spaney, I love Jacob Elordi, I love Sofia Coppola's direction in this film. It's under 2 hours, it's a great biopic, spans a long time. Pacing is a little bit of an issue, but other than that, the movie absolutely rips. And I also dapped up Jacob Elordi on the way out from my screening, and him and I are basically boys now. But that wraps up my day 5. I didn't do much else aside from that. I really enjoyed the movie, went home, wrote my articles, and that was it. The next day though was a weird one. Day 6 didn't have any press screenings, but I still made my way to the Lincoln Center to watch Evil Does Not Exist because I got a reserved ticket for that, so that was really fun. Alright guys, I just got out of watching Evil Does Not Exist. Honestly, I don't really think I understood that movie too much until we saw the director talk about it afterwards, but it was still such a great experience. I think it's gonna be like my only movie in that big theater, so it was just really fun. I actually don't have to write about this movie, so I have the rest of the day to just relax. But again, that was an awesome experience. Maybe it was my lack of sleep, but it was very difficult to stay awake for this one. I think the last night and the last morning had me very tired. But Evil Does Not Exist is a pretty good movie. I just had a hard time grasping a lot of the ideas because it is a very out there film, and the director is obviously known for not being super direct with his themes and stories, and this is a very situational movie, which is not really what I like in my movies. I like there to be a beginning and an end. There is that in this movie, but again, it's very up to interpretation, especially story, characters, and everything in between. It's a very out there film, and I just didn't really get it. But after Evil Does Not Exist, I went to my second non-film festival theater. I went to the IMAX theater at the infamous AMC Lincoln 13. I absolutely love this theater. I watched Batman in there in IMAX last year when I went to New York, but this time I went to go watch The Creator. It was like the only movie showing in IMAX, even though it's so f***ing anti-IMAX. It's just hilarious to see on that screen. Day day 7, not a very busy day, but I had a lot of articles to write in the morning as well as just studying because I was missing so much school. But I wanted to go check out another theater since I didn't have any film festival stuff planned for the day, so I went to check out the Union Square Regal. I rewatched Oppenheimer in 70mm. This is my second time watching it in 70mm, my 4th time watching it overall, and I swear to God, there's no way I watched this movie in 70mm because this movie has been out for 3 months, and this film was so crisp. There's no shot that was on film. Anyways, still a banger movie, 5 out of 5. You can check out my review for it up here. Day 8 though was my birthday and my final day with no film festival stuff, but I was out in the city just walking around. All right guys, it's October 9th today, which means it's my birthday. Woo! I'm turning 19 today. It's weird, it's cool, it's kind of sick. Last year I was actually in New York for my birthday as well, leaving New York Comic-Con, but that was on my birthday with my family. This time I'm completely by myself, which is crazy. Anyways, I have some pretty fun stuff planned for today. So I actually have stuff that I want to do, but we'll see what ends up happening. My bus should be here in just a little bit. The comic shop that I went to was really cool. I ended up buying 2 shirts because they did a 2 for $35 deal. So this first one I got because I wanted to get a second shirt and I thought this one looked cool. It's this X-Men shirt. I think this is pretty sick. I like that it's like a full shirt graphic t-shirt. And then the second one is the main thing that I eyed in the store. I was like, holy shit, I need this in my life. It's this Evil Dead Army of Darkness poster shirt. This is the coolest thing I think I've ever seen in my life. They had another Evil Dead one as well. I think it was Evil Dead 2, but I didn't want to get 2 Evil Dead shirts. I was like, I just gotta get this one. I absolutely love this design. I feel like I've seen this design online so many times, but it was always like 30 bucks for one shirt. But as a whole, I would consider this a fairly successful 19th birthday. Post birthday though, day 9 in New York, I was back to the press screenings, but I watched arguably the worst movie that I had seen in all of the film festival called Eureka. This movie sucks ass. I don't think I'm gonna do a full review on it. I don't think I have anything really nice to say about it. It is 3 hours long. There's 3 non-cohesive stories, all that basically just suck. Viggo Mortensen is in the first like 20 minutes of this movie, and he is the only decent thing about it, but this isn't even near his best performance. Guys, this movie just isn't good. I don't know what else to say. The director has made movies like this before. If you like his movies, watch this movie, I guess. I did not like it. But I spent the rest of the day in the city walking around writing my articles, but then I made my way to Soho and I went to the Roxy Cinema. This is again another non-film festival theater, and I got to watch Chinatown in 35mm. This was easily the fanciest theater I've ever been in. From the exterior to the fact that this theater was under a hotel, it's probably the coolest theater experience I've ever had, and it was just so weird to be in a theater that felt so rich. Day 10 was another press screening day for the festival, and I got to watch Perfect Days. It's a very simple premise. It's about this toilet cleaner who just lives life and then situational events happen around him. And I told you, I'm not a fan of situational movies, but when you do it right, you give me just enough emotion, you give me just enough excitement with the story and the idea and the overall thematic elements, I'll be into it. This movie does exactly that, and I absolutely love it. It's one of the best movies I saw at the entire fest. After Perfect Days, I went back to the AMC Lincoln Center because I'd never seen a non-IMAX movie in that theater, so I went to watch Dick's, and the theater experience alone was worth it. It was so cool. I love the look of the theater, and again, exploring the theaters as much as possible. This was worth it 100%. But now to day 11, this is the first day of New York Comic Con, and today wasn't too busy, but it was just more so stressful because I had my first press interview, which was scary but exciting at the same time. I'm really nervous, but I'm also really excited. New York Comic Con was so much fun last year. I'm doing a lot more press stuff this year than I did last year, but I'm excited. So I went to the press room and they literally did not have any internet, so I couldn't do anything there. So now I'm just gonna walk the show floor for about an hour until I have to get ready for the press stuff. I gotta change and stuff like that. I told myself I wouldn't buy anything today, but they have what I want. The interviews went really well. I talked to Emma Tammy, who directed the new Five Nights at Freddy's movie, Bryce McGuire, who's the director of Night Swim, and then obviously Jason Blum, the fucking CEO of Blumhouse. You can check out the interviews, they'll be linked in the description, but after it was all over, Jason Blum asked me if I wanted a picture with him, and obviously I said yes. But day 12 was my final day at the New York Film Festival, and it started at a bright and early 6:30 a.m., but with a slight problem.
I also left my press pass for both events in my hotel room.
Luckily, since it was the last day of the festival, they were really chill and they let me into the venue no problem. Today though, at the film festival, we got to watch Ferrari as well as a press conference after the movie with Adam Driver, Michael Mann, as well as the other actors and actresses in the film.
Please welcome Michael Mann.
And Ferrari is, again, one of the better movies that I saw at the festival. I absolutely love this movie. Michael Mann does an amazing job, obviously, as the director. Adam Driver puts on an amazing performance. I love Adam Driver. And I'm going to have a way longer review of this movie before it comes out, but I genuinely just love the pacing of the movie. Again, it's another biopic. It's not extremely long, but it gets the job done in terms of telling a compelling story. It doesn't even span over a decade or more. It's literally over 3 months. It's a very situational biopic, but they tell a thrilling enough story to where it was very entertaining. Now that I only had Comic-Con left, it's day 13, and I got to the Javits Center in time for my first panel of the day, where I saw the Guardians of the Galaxy cast sit down and talk together.
Today is an absolutely jam-packed day though. I pretty much have 3 panels back to back to back and then an event tonight. Super excited for all of it. Today's the most busy day by far. So I walked into the wrong panel.
Flashback.
Co-showrunner Robert Kirkman and co-showrunner, executive producer Simon Rasiola.
Okay, so that was probably the longest panel I've ever been to in my entire life, and it was awesome. Robert Kirkman, Invincible stuff, other stuff for shows that I don't really know about but I have to report about. But what sucks is while I was in that room and right now after, there is like no internet that works. So since this is my last panel of the day, I think I'm just gonna leave, go to Starbucks, do some work I guess, and then go to the event I have to go to.
We got to go to this event and then do this screening of Godzilla 1954 in 35mm, which was really, really cool.
To enjoy a very special screening of the original Godzilla in 35mm.
The movie is completely alright, but my first press event, very fun. But out of my final day in New York, it's day 14. The day really only consisted of me walking the show floor, and then at the end of the day, I had interviews with the crew of Percy Jackson, the new Disney Plus show.
Alright guys, it is my last day here in New York. It has been a crazy week, but today we have some final interviews that I have to do. And then I'll probably walk around the show floor to get some footage, and then I'm gonna head out. Alright, so that basically wraps up the convention for me. I gotta head to someplace with Wi-Fi to upload some clips, and then head to the airport.
But overall, this was a really fun trip, a very stressful trip, but again, I had a great time. My current coverage for New York Comic-Con and New York Film Festival will be linked in the description down below. Also, be sure to expect full-length reviews for most of the movies that I talked about in this video on the channel very soon, so subscribe so you don't miss that. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.